Okay, so to start with a Google search campaign, this is something what a live account looks like for confidentiality purposes. Some parts of this video will be blurred out, but it will help you to, achieve your objective. So you see the big plus sign over here. This is a new Google dashboard, Google Ads dashboard. So uh, create, okay, and your screen will load. Now you see, I just, okay. So you see here there are sales, leads, website traffic, app promotion, awareness, consideration. Usually Google search is run for leads or sales. Uh, to be very honest, choosing your objective does not matter. So there are many experts who suggest creating a campaign without a goals guidance. This is basically you don't restrict yourself to the option Google gives you later on. So create a campaign without guidance. And then here are the campaign types. Search, performance max, display, shopping, video, app, and demand gen. So today we are going to discuss about search, which is usually the first and the only campaign you should start in the beginning. Whether you are in e-com or lead gen, it doesn't matter. Uh, in case of lead gen, shopping can also be the first campaign that you start. And in case of lead gen, it's usually a good practice to start with both shopping and search. But this account does not have a MCC account, which is basically a merchant center account, which enables you to upload shopping catalogs and start shopping campaign, which basically happens when you are selling tangible products directly through Google. Now, keeping all that aside, today we are going to start with a search campaign. So, search, okay, continue, and okay, search, continue. Okay. Now, after you select search, you will be shown uh, some of these conversion goals on your account, which are already uh, in place, which means basically they are tracking some of the other conversions. Now, please remember that for Google, anything can be a conversion. It can be a begin checkout, uh, or any click on a button, any purchase, any qualified leads. So there are a lot of things on this account since this is a live account. So when you're starting with search, it's the conversion goals that you should choose are either purchase, which is basically when somebody is actually buying something, or submit lead forms. Now, how to configure these conversions so that you can see it on the Google Ads will be covered in a different video. As of now, we will assume that you have a submit lead form or a purchase, conversion action already configured. So now, what you can do here is just there are three red dots, sorry, three black dots, vertical black dots on the side. So you can begin removing the ones which you are not going to use. And so you will see, Google will start giving you recommend notifications that you are removing these goals. Now please be informed that these goals, they are only being removed from this campaign and not from the account. You can always add any conversion action later which you want, and that will also be covered in this video. So, so we'll start with submit lead forms and then click on continue. Okay, now how do you want to get the results? So it's website visits, phone calls, app downloads. We are running a normal lead generation campaign. So website visit and let's say um, mm, I type in my website, which is uh, capabilitydigital.com, capability-digital.com, and click on continue. And then this will just give you a sample name. It is important to follow some kind of nomenclature, which is basically how you name your campaigns, which helps you identify what is the goal of the campaign and what are the products which you are promoting through this campaign. So let's say I just, you know, uh, type in search product one and then continue. Now, it will give you the list of campaigns which are like in draft mode. So just ignore them, click on start new. Uh, Now, first, the first pitfall which Google is setting you up for. Now, please listen very carefully. Conversions or conversion value, clicks or impression share. Usually, when you run search, it is always advised to start with conversions, not with clicks. There are many uh, uh, agencies who prefer starting with a clicks search campaign, but why you shouldn't do it, uh, I'll explain to you just after this step. So click on conversions, which is basically a conversion is basically a successful lead form submit, a successful inquiry. Now, right at the get-go, Google is asking you to choose a target cost per action, and it's optional and it is checked by default. I usually prefer to start my campaign without a target cost per action because you are just starting up new and you need to let the Google AI learn what is working, what is not working for you. All this is assuming that you have the correct conversion action in place. You have the correct submit lead form in place, which means your pixel, your Google Ads pixel is firing only on a successful lead form completion. Uh, just for added information, you can always test your lead form submit through Google Tag Manager. It's very easy to do, and that will be covered in a separate video. But now we are assuming that the conversion actions are in place and they are firing correctly. So conversions, and then don't set a target cost per action. Now, customer acquisition, optimized campaign for acquiring new customers, just ignore it. Uh, because if you click on this, which sounds so good, what will happen is Google will just confuse you and will try to convince you that you're going after new cold audience, which I can assure you never happens on Google. So, yeah, I mean, yes, it does, but there are ways to do it, but not through this optimized campaign for acquiring new customers. This is only limited to the account, which is why this checkbox does not work. Okay. Now, okay. So, we have chosen the bidding, and then we move on to next. Okay. Now, the second pitfall: include Google search partners, include display network. There are many performance marketers who will tell you that display network is the worst thing to do, and I completely agree. It doesn't matter what Google says, just uncheck display network for any search campaign. Basically, even if you are an advanced performance marketer, just always keep this display network unchecked. If you want to run ads in the display, you run a separate display campaign, a Google display campaign, and not in the search campaign. So, and then the Google search partners, now this is a little bit dicey, because it depends on what industry you are in, and what is your audience. If your audience is very niche, it's very narrow. For example, you are running a campaign for, let's say, lawyers. Okay, you are targeting lawyers, or you are targeting doctors. Okay, people who are very busy. Okay, and uh, they don't spend much time searching for things. They only spend a very small amount of time, or the population of your audience itself is very small. uh, let's say you are running a local campaign for a service. Let's say you are running a campaign for a dentist who is looking for patients, or a normal physician who is looking for patients, or a pediatrician who is looking for, uh, you know, again, patients. So, when your uh, when your audience is very niche, usually there are many people who suggest to start with Google search partners right at the get-go. I don't recommend this. So when you start any search campaign, just uncheck both these boxes. Just remember that by default, these boxes will be checked, and Google is trying to show you that it's making things easier. But once the campaign starts, it will ruin your, yeah, it will basically ruin your work. So starting of the campaign, keep this box unchecked. Now, your location. Now, there are usually three options here, depending on which country you're currently in. Yeah, usually it's either the whole country, or just you enter particular cities. For example, I'm in Bengaluru, Karnataka, so Google will show you the reach and this thing. So it's either include or exclude. So when you are starting with targeting, you are including specific uh, areas, specific cities, specific regions to target people who are searching from those areas. So include, and then you start with more cities like Chennai, and you click on include. So this is one way you can do it. The other way is, if you have a list of cities you want to target, click on advanced search, add locations in bulk, and then just copy paste city names here. So, for example, Bengaluru, Chennai, um, and let's say um, Kochi. Okay, I'm just taking examples for illustration purposes. Then let's say Telangana, and now we'll take one more city, with this, let's say Mysore. Okay, now uh, um, it doesn't matter how many cities you enter. It's for entering locations in bulk. So copy paste all the cities and just click on search. So Google will match your cities with the records that Google has, and then there is an option to target all. So all these cities will be included in your in your search campaign. If you can see now, Google is showing you the cities that you're targeting, which is the one in blue highlights. And okay, so, and then you click on save. So once you save it, your all locations are included in targeting. Now, let's say you want to exclude certain cities. Okay, you don't want to show certain cities, or you don't want your ads to show in certain cities. For example, let's say Delhi, uh, and let's say Noida, and let's say Gurgaon or Gurugram as it is called now. So click on search, and there's an option to exclude, also exclude. So now you will see the locations that you are excluding are shown in red. You can also exclude whole countries, whole states. Okay, it completely depends on your campaign planning. So if you click on save, so you will see all the locations you are targeting and all the locations you are excluding. Now, it is usually a good practice to enter separate cities or states that you're targeting, for reasons that I will explain later on in the campaign setup. A, a lazy way of starting the campaigns is just to click on the entire country. Even if you are targeting the entire country, just selecting the country is not a good practice. Because you need to optimize your campaign for some locations, and you need to reduce your ads in some locations, so selecting the country doesn't help. So now, pitfall number 3: presence or interest or presence. Now, this is uh, again a Google recommended pitfall, which many performance marketers used to fall into. This update was rolled out without any sort of huge um, press release or something like that, and people were surprised that they were targeting, let's say, a country in a city in United States, and their visitors and clicks and leads were coming from Bangladesh or India or Pakistan, uh, because never, ever, ever select presence or interest. It is always presence. Okay, because you are targeting people who are present in these cities or excluded in these cities. Please remember that this setting applies to both excluded and included. So presence is where you want to select when you start the campaign, and even when the campaign is old, never ever select presence or interest, because you don't know from where Google will send visitors. Even if this says recommended, just never do it. Okay. Now, moving on, languages. So, languages, selecting language is a good practice. You know, uh, English is selected by default. If you want, you can select Hindi. And so yeah, as you can see, both these languages are added. Now, if you want to know what uh, what this actually entails, is it actually selects users, or basically it selects devices where these languages are the default setting. Okay, it can be any Android, iPhones, laptops, you know, tablets, anything which is set by default to these languages. Now, but please remember that this will not change the way your ads are seen. Okay, this is not a language for your ads. This is a language for your users. So, mm, any user who have not selected English or Hindi will not see my ads. So, and by default, users of most iPhones or Android mobile phones, they are always calibrated to English by default, unless somebody changes it to their native tongue. So, okay. Uh, Now moving on, audience segments. Now, this is something which is very good for observance. So let's say if I select all these, and you will see all this audience is selected. When you start a search campaign, it is usually recommended that you select all of them, all the audience. These are audiences which will be there in your account by default, especially these in market audiences. But if they are not, you don't need to worry. In market audiences will always be there, because these are Google created audiences. These are audiences which Google creates from its users. Um so even in a new account, you will see these in market audiences. And then there are website visitors, and then customer lists. These are slowly going to show as your account gets older, and you uh, mm, run more and more campaigns, and you upload these lists and create these audiences. Now, please remember that when you select audience segments in Google search, by default, it is observation and not targeting. Okay, targeting is somewhere where you are targeting these audiences only. Observation is where Google will, match your results with these audiences. So when you get conversions, Google will tell you that okay, this is the keyword, this is the ad which got you one conversion or multiple conversions. And by the way, these users also fall under this audience. So it's a very good learning for you, so that later on, if you feel that some audiences are working particularly good for you, you can increase bid on those audiences, which we will see later on. And then if you see that some audiences are not working at all, then you can reduce a bid for those audiences. Okay, so the setting will always be observation, which is recommended and which is a good job by Google, and not targeting. Now, this is the elephant in the room. Okay, broad match keywords. Now, uh, I will upload a video separately with match types, what are keyword match types, what they mean, because a lot of things have changed in the last 3 to 4 years. Google is always pushing you to use more and more broad matches, and there are many performance marketers who have a very mixed opinion about broad matches. I myself, I like broad matches because the way they work, but that doesn't mean that I work only with broad matches. Whenever I make campaigns, I deselect this option and use keyword match types and not use broad match by default. This basically means that you use phrase, exact, and broad separately, and Google will respect the match types that you assign to each and every keyword. Okay. And not, and not assume that all the keywords are broad. So it is when you are setting up a search campaign, either for e-com or lead gen, always make sure that you have these in off setting. Okay, so uh, now you can read about broad match keywords, and as I said, there will be a separate video with the match types. But as of now, if you see any existing Google campaign, the way match types are uh, placed in a campaign is when there are keywords within square brackets. Those are the exact match types. Then there are keywords which are in uh, quotes, okay, double quotes. Uh, they are the phrase matches. And then there are keywords which don't have any special characters. They are the broad matches. Okay. Now, this is just how to identify the match types, but the way these match types work deserves a completely new and separate video. Okay. So then the next, I will not say this is a pitfall, but these are automatically created assets. So what is this? This is basically Google wants permission um, to use your landing page content to create ads on its own. Okay, so if you ask this question that, okay, so what about the ad copies that I write, what about the ad copies that I am giving Google? Okay, will Google not be using those? So my answer will be yes, Google will be using those, but if you select these as on, okay, then Google gives you a notification and explains to you in detail. But if you select these on, which of course you can turn off later in the campaign, um, if you keep this on, Google may ignore your ad copies and use a landing page to create its own headlines and descriptions, and use it to uh, to give you conversions. Now, a lot of it I have seen in a lot of campaigns where this works very well, and I have seen a lot of campaigns where, especially in lead gen, where the lead quality suffers because of this setting. So, if you are running lead gen campaigns, it is always advisable to keep these off and use only assets that you directly provide. And I will explain how to write ad copies as well. Uh, but if you're running a e-com campaign, remember you will always have a shopping campaign simultaneously. So the search and shopping are supposed to sync together to give you the best results in case of e-commerce. So in case of e-commerce, you can use this directly from the get-go. But again, it depends on the industry, and there are no absolute answers in Google Ads. More settings by default, these are everything is fine. You don't need to change anything. Since you will be using smart bidding, you don't need to basically change anything right here. You can always change this later on and then move on to next. Now, here Google says that, okay, so we will help you create ad, and I respectfully disagree. So I click on skip. Now, uh, just for the record, I am opening this website, and what is this website all about? This is just my website, and which is an example, but you can of course take any website as a suitable example. So here, if you see, what this website is trying to do is you are giving a 90-day success kit to performance marketers, and this is an advanced success kit. This is not for beginners, mind you. This is not for beginners. These are for performance marketers who are in the advanced stage, who have like a minimum of 5 years of experience running Google Ads and Google Search Ads, especially. And this is the only Google Search Success Kit. But just for illustration purposes, let's say, let's say the content on this page is helping an user to run a Google search campaign successfully. So when I start with ad copies, of course, it's always advisable to have multiple headlines, 15 characters each, which we are going to see how that works. But what I usually do when I start with Google search campaigns is I select some pieces of content right from the landing page. So you will see me highlighting this and Control C, and then going back to the 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 campaign setup and just copy pasting this on, by default. If you see now, Google has picked up your uh, uh, Google has picked up the SEO keywords from the page itself, but we will start from the top. So here is a website. If you give Google the website, Google will by default, you know, show you all the keywords that you want to advertise it for. Now, what I would suggest is not to do this, okay? And usually have your own set of keywords ready, and that would be in a keyword research. And again, that is a separate video. But let's say as of now, mm, I just select, let's say, ads on Google. I just select, two keywords. Now here is where the keyword match types become important. Okay, when you're starting out, there are many things which performance marketers prefer. Okay, now uh, when you see these square brackets, these are exact match keywords. Okay, now let's say I take an example of this keyword again. And I put double quotes in the beginning and end. So this is a phrase match keyword. And if I don't put anything, this is a broad match keyword. Okay. So square brackets is exact match, which basically means Google will trigger your ads for people who are searching exactly this or some close variants of these. Okay. Uh, um, and close variants meaning um, variance both in meaning as well as intent. Okay. And now, when you're starting with Google search ads, this is a very uh, complicated concept to grasp right from the start. So, I will explain this in more detail in a separate video. But when Google looks at users, uh, they basically keep these two parameters of any user in um, ready to judge whether the user is going to convert or not. One is a meaning of the words that they're searching, and the second is the intent. Okay, intent is basically based on the user behavior of what that user did before searching for that keyword. Okay, that is intent. So did the users look at a video? Did the user look at a related Quora post? Did the user look at review websites? Did the user, look at the website of that product before? Did the user look at websites of competitors of that products? Please remember, Google tracks and knows everything about every user who searches on Google. Okay, so I don't want to digress, but staying on the topic, these are exact match keywords, these are phrase matches, and these are broad matches. Now, when you start a search campaign, it is always advisable to not have broad match keywords in the same campaign or the same ad group as phrase and exact match. Okay. uh, just for the simple reason is because broad is phrase and broad, these have sort of overlapped in their meaning in the last 3 to 4 years, and as time goes by, they will be more and more indistinguishable from each other. Sorry, indistinguishable from each other. Okay, which means it is difficult to tell them apart. But phrase matches usually before used to mean that anybody who searches for this phrase on Google, and broad match usually meant that people who were searching for these words or anything related to these words. Okay. So in this example, ads on Google Phrase Match can also be a close variant of this phrase match will be I want to run Google Ads. Okay. I want to run Google Ads. So this ad will trigger to that user. Let's say somebody searches uh, best Google Ads agency. This ad will trigger because all the words which the user is searching is there in this phrase and the meaning is also similar. So Google will trigger your ad. Now, if you go to broad match, uh, let's say ads on Google, uh, let's say this ad will trigger for all the examples that I mentioned earlier for people who are searching for I want to run Google Ads or best Google Ads agency. But when a keyword is broad, it will go everywhere where every possible uh, variation is included. For example, ads on Google Broad will even trigger for, let's say, uh, Google Ads review of a big brand, let's say Starbucks Google Ads review. Okay, this ad will trigger for that also if you have a broad match in place. Okay. But I mean, my ad has got nothing to do with someone who is searching for Starbucks Google Ads review. Yeah. So just a very wide example over there. So this is usually how broad match works. But since since 2021, broad matches, Google claims that broad matches have started become more intelligent, and it might trigger for irrelevant searches, but then it learns very quickly and it will stop showing for people who doesn't have any intent close to what you are trying to achieve through your ads. But anyways, so, when you start out a campaign, it is usually recommended that you only keep phrase and exact in an ad group. So, basically, this is an ad group, and you can name the ad group anything you want. Okay, it is for recommendation purposes, it is always mm, suggested that you keep the ad group the same name as the product you are promoting. Okay, so here is my website. Now this website, this final URL is actually the landing page that you want the users to go, but you can change it anytime later because this is just the keywords that you are entering. And then, by the way, you have to put something here, otherwise the system will not let you go ahead. Now, as you can see, you see more and more, uh, you know, do this and this will happen and all these things, but just ignore it. Okay. Now, here is the final URL. Now, this is actually the ad copy which I was talking about, and then there is a display path. Okay. So the display path is basically here. If you see this, now obviously the website and the logo will not match. Okay, because the logo belongs to the live account, and this website is my own personal website. I'm just using it for illustration purposes. But if you see these, okay, it gives you constant previews of what the ad looks like. Okay, now if you see here, you will see this is when I have entered nothing in the display path. So display path is basically what the user sees rather than what the landing page URL is. Okay. So it's a very good practice to have the display path use something relevant to what the user is searching. So a very useful technique is to use DKI in the display path itself. Okay. What is DKI? DKI is dynamic keyword insertion. Okay. Which means basically it's a placeholder and it is something like this, curly brackets, and then it will ask for keyword insertion or location insertion. Okay. As you go down the ads, the headlines, the descriptions, there will be one more option of this insertion, which is a countdown insertion. But anyway, so since you can't put a countdown in the URL, you have the option of keyword, and now it asks you to enter the default text. So basically what this does is the two keywords that we are using now, it is always advised to start any ad group with 5 or more keywords. We just took 2 for illustration purposes, but here it asks for a default text. Now the default text is basically uh, if the keyword is more than 15 characters, which is the character limit in the default text. Okay, if the keyword is more than 15 characters, okay, then it should show this by default. Okay, so let's say I type in Google Ads, okay, and I click on apply. Now there are 3 cases, and this will be hard coded. So, of course, you can always change it later, but uh, these have different effects on different parts of the ad. Okay, when you are using DKI right in the display path, remember your URL will automatically pick up the keyword which has triggered your ad. Okay, let me repeat that. DKI or dynamic keyword insertion picks up the keyword which has triggered your ad and shows it to the user. Okay, the reason why I love DKI and many performance marketers rely heavily on DKI, and DKI is an option only in Google search ads. It is not possible in any other Google ad campaigns. The reason DKI is so popular is because it will make your ads look relevant to the user, which in turn will help you get clicks from the user. Okay. Now, there is also a flip side to it that um, getting more and more clicks is not necessarily good when you are getting irrelevant clicks. Okay. But as far as clicks are concerned, if you can get more and more relevant clicks, it is always good for your account and the campaign and the business objectives that you're trying to solve. So DKI, let's say I just enter Google Ads, and then the second part. Now, usually it is best practice to uh, you know give another relevant phrase in the display path, but I have seen local ads where, let's say, you are running lead gen campaigns for a lawyer in a particular area where the location becomes very important, because people don't want to travel too far for getting that service. Or let's say you are running Google search campaign for a local store. Okay. You are running Google search campaign for a local retail store. Okay. A typical brick and mortar retail store. In that case, it is a good idea to use the DKI option, but here you use a location insertion, and then you have the option of choosing the city, state, or the country. Uh, if you are very local, it is good to use city and click on apply. So basically, what will happen is when people see the ad, they will see the website name followed by the keyword which has triggered the ad, followed by their location. Okay, this is the user location and not your location. Okay, user location. So, location insertion is very useful where the where physical visits are important to complete the business. Okay. Now, this is the display path. Now, once we are done with the display path, uh, then you have the ad, the actual headlines and descriptions. Now, one thing I like to do here is the first headline I use keyword insertion, and here you'll see there is something called a countdown insertion. This is exactly what I was talking about. Uh, is You can actually have this this a countdown timer to add that FOMO to the user. Now, usually, what I like to do here is use keyword insertion. Click on title case. If you remember when we did it in the display URL, we used sentence case, is because it should appear as a sentence and not as a title. But when you are, so basically you can read it over here. The first letter of all keywords will be capitalized. A sentence case is more natural for the URL. But when it comes to headlines, remember people can see only two headlines in most devices. In tablets and laptops, they see three headlines, but usually the first two headlines are very important. So, what I like to do here is use keyword insertion and then use, let's say, the default uh, keyword, the default text would be Google Ads success, and click on apply. Now, so what will happen is if you see the keyword, if it is more than 30 characters, okay, which is a limit, it will show the keyword here instead of showing the default text. But if sorry, if the keyword is less than 30 characters, then it will show the keyword. But if it is not less than 30 characters, if it is more than 30 characters, then it will show the default text. Now, what I like to do here is after putting DKI, I usually pin it to the first position. So what happens here is now my first position always shows the keyword that has triggered the ad. Now, this is something which many performance marketers will not tell you, but uh, if you do this, your ads will become relevant uh, right from the start, because your first headline is showing the keyword that is triggering your ad. Okay, and there is a difference between keyword and search term. Search term is what the user is actually typing. Keyword is actually what you have which triggered that. Okay. Now, the difference between keyword and search terms is also, uh, that also deserves separate attention, and I will make a separate video about it. But as of now, you know, any keyword which gets displayed and which always gets displayed in the first position usually improves the quality score of each and every keyword in your ad group. Okay, you start getting better and better quality scores faster because you are always showing the keyword in the first headline. Okay, and then there is the second headline. Now you can put all headlines and just keep on not pinning any of them. So there is an option to do this also, which is showing any unpinned position. If by default this is selected, it's because Google wants to test all the combinations of headlines to see what works and what doesn't. But uh, as performance marketers become more advanced, or even if you're not advanced, even if you're a beginner, it is always good to control what Google wants you to do. So the next headline is where I put a countdown timer. Okay. And let's say I choose 6th September. Okay. And then give it like some big dates. So this is basically when the countdown will begin, and this is when the countdown ends. So there are three options: start of day, custom time, end of day. These are very useful for sale start dates and end dates, but these are also very useful for lead gen campaigns and basically for any service where you want people to have an urgency to click and inquire. Okay, so let's say I take 6 September and end of day and click on apply. So basically, what will happen is it will show so many days left. Okay, and then once the number of days become less than so you see 8 days, now it shows the countdown to 6 September, and today is 29th August when I'm doing this. Uh, you want to make it more natural, I will suggest, uh, you know, let's say batch starts in. Okay. Now, so you see now the batch starts in 8 days. So this is giving some kind of urgency to the user to click on this, come to the landing page, and then do something, do take an action. Okay. Now, if you have observed something, as soon as you put DKI, all this becomes green, which basically means that Google is saying that all of these keywords now you don't have to enter individually in the headlines. Okay. Now you will also see something called ad strength, and Google keeps giving you recommendations of what is ad strength and what it can do. Now, it's an indication of relevance and diversity. You can read all this, but basically, what it means is ad strength is all BS. Okay. Uh, the reason why Google gives you the ad strength is that Google wants you to give it as much freedom in headlines and descriptions so that it can spend your money and keep testing and learning what works and what doesn't work. Okay. So my first headline is pinned to position one. I usually do is I take the second headline, which is a countdown, okay, and I pin it to position two. So this is how my ad looks like. So first is keyword, then is some kind of urgency creation. Okay. some kind of urgency creation. You can also say sale ends in so many days. And when this countdown becomes less than 2 days, that is less than 48 hours, it actually starts counting the hours instead of days, which is even better. Okay. So here is we are done with headline one and headline two, which are basically the most important part of your ad because this is the one which gets the highest number of clicks always. And then you have another, another set of like Google wants you to fill all 15 headlines, but I would suggest just filling five or six is more than enough when you're starting with, unless you are looking to test different headlines to see which works better. In that case, let's say a better way to do business, I also pin it to second position. So what will happen is now Google has two options to display in the second headline. So it is up to Google to change and shuffle this headline and this headline to see which one is working better for your for your campaign performance. Okay, you can do the same with headline one and two, and then you can also pin something to position three, but I usually don't do it because yeah, when it's a mobile phone over any device, the third headline usually does not show. It usually only shows up in big screens like laptops on tablets. And so that is usually a very low priority for me. But if you are running e-commerce ads, okay, if you are running sales ads, okay, if you're running catalog ads in a separate shopping campaign, then you may want to pin position three as well. This is because uh, when people buy a lot of stuff, when people are trying to use a credit card or the debit card to buy something, they prefer to do it from a laptop or a tablet. Usually it's more laptops because they can sit in one place peacefully and then they make the purchase. Okay, if you're running campaigns for, let's say, some kind of Amazon store, okay, then the third headline also becomes important because most of the purchases will happen through desktops. Okay, but if it's a lead gen campaign, then you can ignore the third headline entirely, and Google will just use all your other headlines to um, shuffle and show in the third headline. Okay. Then there is a description. As you can see, Google has already picked up description, but you can pin this as well. So description, there are only one and two. There are only two options, two descriptions which you can ever show. And then if you want, you can also have DKI in the description as well. So here again, you can put keyword insertion, counter insertion, location insertion. Usually I have seen you know any kind of lead gen or e-commerce doing very well with location insertion in their description and then pinning it to, let's say, first or second position. It's because when people see an ad, they are always looking for familiarities. Okay, they'll because the human brain is trained to see patterns even when nothing exists. They are trained to see patterns. So when you are running e-commerce ads, especially when you display their city name, okay, in the description somewhere, it tends to get more clicks because it looks familiar to the user. Now, this is again some tips and tricks which we are going to see what to use in headlines and descriptions to get more clicks and to make your performance better. Then there are images. Now, image is basically, these are all stock images. You don't have to worry too much about it. Just add any stock image that you see on Google. You can also go up to suggested, and then right now there are no suggested as such, but just add any stock image that you get. This is just for getting real estate, and in most of the devices I am not seeing images getting displayed. Okay, just know that all the images that you add to your search ad should not have any text on it. Okay, otherwise they will get rejected, and then you have to change it again. Then comes business name, so that will be your business and your business logo. And then you have the site links which you can always put later, and then click on done. So here you are done with the ad, you are done with the first ad. And okay, I'm just waiting for this page to load. And so our ads are done, and then moving on to budget. Okay, Google is asking for you know usually now Google has this added security feature where you see more and more security measures, but this is fine, and we will be deleting this campaign anyways. Then there is a budget. Now, here, if you see on the right hand side of the screen, you will see there is a estimate of number of weekly conversions and what is your weekly cost. Okay, it will also show you the cost per conversion. Usually these are estimates, and unless you are running a e-commerce campaign and you already have data in the account, none of these actually happens. So you don't have to worry about, just put a minimum budget, okay, and get started. So put a minimum budget, then put it on review, and then publish the campaign. And it will take a few minutes for the Google algorithm to review and you know make the campaign live. Okay, so this is now your ad, your Google search campaign is completely ready and ready to show your ads. Okay, now just for the record, I will be deleting this campaign because I don't want anybody to see this ad. Okay, uh, so again, a lot of things will be blurred out, and I'm just going to draft. Oh wow, there are no drafts. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so This is how you get a search campaign on ready and running. Uh, Now, there are other settings to the search campaign which you can always adjust later on. For example, let's say when you look at search campaign and when you go to campaign and campaign view, click on this gear icon over here, and you will see all those settings which you actually made when you started this campaign. Now, as I said, and I promised you earlier that I will show you how to change the conversion goals if you want to. So, you see here conversion goals. If you click on it, okay, just click on change campaign goals, and here you will see again all the categories of conversion pixels and what are those conversion pixels. So if you want to change it to some clicks or impressions or some qualified leads, you can do that. So this comes from here. Now this campaign has search partners included because this campaign has been running for more than 3 months now. Okay, if you see location and excluded location and this thing. So these are all pretty much tight. Now, bidding. Now, what I said was initially you start with maximize conversions, which is basically Google will try to give you the maximum number of conversions for that budget. After 4 days, it's usually a good idea to put a TCPA, and as you can see, Google is now already suggesting a TCPA based on so much data that it has. Or you can go to manual bidding strategy uh, and then go to I see once you click on use a different bidding strategy, now you get so many options. You can do this exactly after setting up a new campaign, and once that campaign goes live, you get all these options. Okay, so there are maximize clicks, maximize conversions, conversion value, target impression share, and manual EPC, CPC, which was the basically grand old bidding type and favorite of all performance marketers. Here, if you see, these are the ones that we switched off when we started with, which is the automatically created assets, the keyword match types. Um, yes, so this is pretty much it, how to set up a campaign and, you know, uh, what, uh, what are the settings that you should have in place to start a successful campaign. I hope this video helped you out. Uh, I have a LinkedIn profile and I'm very much active on LinkedIn. So I'll include the link of my LinkedIn profile in the video description. So if you have any questions, just let me know. You can ping me on LinkedIn. Um, I will answer your question as soon as I, reach your message basically. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time, and I hope you learned something.